Versus Lancer is the track that plays when Chris and Rouxls fight Lancer and Susie. However, it's not really a fight and more of a scuffle, because even if you get a game over by losing all your HP, you'll just end up in the room right before the battle happens. And a very important note too, is that the track works really well because of the fact that it uses Lancer's main theme as a leitmotif, making it one of the better songs, and of course, making the fight less of a fight, and once again, more of a scuffle. Basement is a track that is almost ambient, but it does have a distinct use of instruments that makes it to where it isn't an ambient track at all. This plays after the fun gang get captured and thrown into the jail cells deep inside of Kaard Castle. The theme is desolate and unnerving, which fits the area quite well considering that all of our protagonists at this point are thrown into jail cells. Imminent Death is the track that plays when Susie confronts Lancer about the team getting thrown into prison. This track builds up a lot of tension, and it's so tense that you can almost feel it. It also shows you what happens whenever you cross Susie in the wrong ways, and once again, serves as a build-up for something inevitably bad that could happen. Versus Susie is the track that plays while Susie is fighting Lancer. This entire track makes you feel like Susie may actually hurt Lancer and possibly even hurting him to a point where he may become unconscious. However, this does not end up happening, as Susie's final attack against Winter misses. However, Versus Susie is an absolutely fantastic track that deserves credit for being one of the best soundtracks in Deltarune Chapter 1. It's unnerving, it's tense, and you really feel like something really bad could happen if you didn't know that Susie's final attack was going to miss. Kaard Castle is the track that plays in the final area of Deltarune Chapter 1. This is where the end game happens. This is where you go to find the king of the castle, also known as Spade King. You meet some of the last few characters you'll meet. The theme of the castle itself is based off of playing cards of each type, and it's a good build-up for whenever you're heading up to the top of the castle for your absolute final battle. Track that plays when you meet, well, Rouxls is a supposed puzzle master, and as a matter of fact, he may be one of the least threatening characters in Deltarune Chapter 1, maybe even the entire game. He does have a good theme though, and it's iconic for the character itself. April 2012 is the track that plays whenever you're in Clover's room. Clover is a character you meet earlier in the Scarlet Forest. However, the track itself is considered club's music in-game. It's not the best track, but it's certainly not the worst either. shop is the second of the two shop themes in Deltarune Chapter 1. It's also heard in Deltarune Chapter 2, but that's for a whole other video. And as you learn from this second shop, Rouxls Kaard himself is the person running it, and his dialogue even changes based off of if you have or haven't done the K-round refight done in Kaard Castle. It's a good shop theme, and it definitely deserves a high rating. Gallery is the track that plays right before the final boss fight in Deltarune Chapter 1. It's meant to serve as a way to build up tension right before the final battle. And while it does also play in Chapters 2 and 4 of Deltarune, the focus of this video being Chapter 1, it serves as a great track that builds tension right before the final boss. Chaos King is the track that plays when you're fighting the final boss of Deltarune Chapter 1, the Spade King. This is a fantastic final boss theme. You really feel like the stakes are high, especially because Chris is the only person that can seal the fountain so that Chris and Susie can get home. Overall, this is a absolutely well done final boss theme. Darkness Falls is the track that plays when you refuse to continue after getting a game over in Deltarune Chapter 1. It's rarely heard, but when you hear it, you really feel a sense of dread, maybe even possibly doom. That's because if you do not have Chris to seal the fountain, then the world will be covered in darkness. Not in a literal sense, but still, the track serves as a dreadful game over theme. The Circus is the track that plays whenever you find the hidden area inside of Kaard Castle, only accessible after escaping the basement and making it to the first floor. Here you'll meet a mysterious person who wants to play a game with the team. However, when Chris, Susie, and Rouxls finally get the key to let themselves in this cage that they found, they end up discovering someone that is quite chaotic, and as a matter of fact, is the secret boss of Deltarune Chapter 1. The World Revolving is a track that I have way too many words to say how incredible this track is. As a matter of fact, I would even argue it's the absolute best track in Deltarune Chapter. It's chaotic, it's almost frantic. However, this specific theme plays against the secret boss in Chapter 1 of Deltarune named Jevil, who is supposed to represent a Joker card. However, I don't want to sit here and explain it anymore. I would like for you to sit back and listen to it for yourself. Friendship is the track that plays after the king fight. That is, as long as you've spared all the enemies and spared the king as well. This track plays over whenever you meet all the enemies you spared one more time before you leave to go and seal the fountain. It's a good theme, and it serves as a kind of a rejoiceful, peaceful track after all the chaos that has happened up to that point. The Holy is the track that plays when Chris and Susie finally make it to the fountain. This track is incredible and almost seems prophetic. After all, during the legend scene, you learn that Chris is the one that has to seal the fountain so that balance can be restored. This track is absolutely incredible. And as a matter of fact, for a theme that plays right before you head back home, it does well at what it needs to. It makes you feel like you have more power. Is a very short track. However, it plays right as Chris is sealing the fountain. Now let's take a quick listen and head back to the light world. A Town Called Hometown is the track that plays after Chris and Susie finally head back to the White World. It serves as a nice, calm theme after all the events that had just happened right before they were able to get back home. Hometown itself is the main location where Deltarune takes place in the White World. And during this track's playing, you can also get a chance to meet some of the residents that you passed by at the beginning of the game. You Can Always Come Home is the track that plays whenever you finally get back home. Toriel is waiting for Chris in the living room and tells Chris some very kind things. And, well, overall, the theme itself does make you feel like you're at home. It's calm, and as a matter of fact, I would even argue it's one of the best ways that Deltarune Chapter 1 story could have ended, with a nice, calm soundtrack. Don't Forget is an absolutely iconic soundtrack in Deltarune, not just in Chapter 1. This track plays specifically during the end credits, and is the only song heard in the entire soundtrack that has lyrics and a voice that sings these lyrics by none other than Laura Shigehara. Now, don't forget, I'm always with you in the dark. Now, let's sit back and listen to this track a little bit more before the absolute final track of Deltarune Chapter 1's original soundtrack.
When the light is running low and the shadows start to grow, and the places that you know seem like fantasy, there's a light inside your soul that's still shining in the cold, with the truth, the promise in our hearts. Don't forget, I'm with you in the dark.
Before the Story is the final track of Deltarune Chapter 1's original soundtrack. This track plays during the file select screen, so as long as you've completed Chapter 1 of Deltarune. Now, without saying anything else, how about we just sit back and listen to this track for a little bit before we move on to the end of this video. Thank you all for making it through this video. I certainly hope you enjoyed it. I most certainly have. And as a matter of fact, I would love if you could just consider liking and subscribing to the channel. It would really help me out a lot. And please leave a comment as well. Tell me what you did and didn't like, such as certain positions, certain rankings. And with that, I certainly hope that once again you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time with Deltarune Chapter 2's original soundtrack, which will be coming out soon. I'll see you next time. This is Dakota78, signing off.